It's connected. Good afternoon, dear President Ravindran. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Can you hear me?
Welcome, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, very clear.
Welcome to our District Assembly 1970 from Portugal. It's a wonderful pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much to join us. I will make this early conversation in English, then I will switch to Portuguese, and I will kindly ask you to switch to English. We have the translation system.
So when I speak in English, will I be heard in Portuguese?
Yes, we will heard in Portuguese.
Okay.
You just need to put it in the English in interpretation. But first, okay. Dear President, we have a surprise for you that we want to invite you to see us in a video, a short video to welcome you.
Rotary gives you a very great opportunity to be that better human being. It lets you be an example in the way you conduct your business, the way you do your professions, your ethical standards. Teaches you, because you are dealing with so many others, you have an obligation to live by the values that you learned when you were a child. When you were a child, your parents told you, be honest. Your parents told you, care for those who are sick. Your parents told you, look after those who need your help. As we get older, we forget those things. Rotary reminds you, takes you back to those values.
Thank you, dear President Ravindran, to remind us how the values are so important in Rotary. Now I welcome you. I will sit here to listen to your talk and also to put some questions and talk about our moment in Rotary and what the challenges we face in these also challenging times. So I'm going to sit here and make this conversation with you and also to hear what you have to explain us, to give us. You are a very inspiring leader, you know that. And we are very, very honored to have you here in Portugal Assembly in District 1970. Hope everything is okay with you and your family. And
very good, thank you.
Thank you so much. So, dear President Ravindran, what do you think it's the biggest challenge we face in our times in Rotary? According to your experience, you have been president.
So, why don't I finish speaking and then you ask the questions?
I'm sorry.
Why don't I finish speaking and then you ask questions?
Yes, fantastic. Let's do this.
Yes.
Thank you. I will keep now going on Portuguese, okay?
Sure.
Thank you. Obrigado. Creio que já vamos mudar agora. Let's switch to translation. And let's hear you. Obrigado. Vamos ouvir o nosso querido presidente, past presidente Ravindran.
So you want me to start?
Sim, por favor.
Okay. So Governor-elect Sergio Almeida, I see that you have an array of speakers, and I'm not sure what they spoke to you before and whether I'm going to say the same things that they repeated previously. But that's a risk that you take. Allow me first to preface my comments on Rotary by first framing it in the current context of the situation around the world. For thousands of years, a parasite with no name, which lived happily, amongst horseshoe bats in southern China found a new host, human beings. From that one human, that seemed so long ago, but in reality, just 5 months ago, today we are at almost 6 million positive cases around the world and over 367,000 deaths. For tens of millions of Europeans, the coronavirus pandemic will be a life-changing event. Even if they are untouched by the disease itself, the upheaval caused by the virus will have a profound effect on many people's livelihood and life circumstances. Never before, except in wartime, have whole industries shut down and consumer demand dropped so far, so fast. We can see how badly the hospitality industry, including hotels, restaurants, entertainment, sports, fitness, construction, airline, travel are all affected. We know we will see a surge of bankruptcies. Oil on the 20th of April became worthless. The American benchmark came to minus $40 a barrel. Can you imagine? Oil producers had to pay someone to take the oil they produce. According to ILO, some 1.6 billion people around the world employed in the informal economy will see their livelihoods destroyed. Of course, there are also exceptions. Yesterday, I was listening to a Bloomberg report which showed that home entertainment like Netflix, online retail like Amazon, retail giants like Walmart, virtual communications like Zoom, even adult toy makers are showing a big boost in sales. But there is no question that in general, this virus has disrupted modern society on a scale that today's generation has never seen. And it's now abundantly clear that the world cannot fully emerge from its current state until a vaccine is found. At this time, nearly 115 vaccine candidates are in various stages of development, and some are already entering clinical trials. Moderna in the USA, results have shown that participants who received low and medium doses of Moderna's vaccine had blood levels of virus-fighting antibodies that were similar or greater than those in recovered COVID-19 patients. University of Oxford and AstraZeneca are on track with advanced human studies. The United States has pledged as much as $1.2 billion on AstraZeneca. They've also backed projects with Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, France's Sanofi. Merck, the US drug giant, is developing 2 vaccines and a tablet to fight COVID-19 using their experience with Ebola. China's President Xi Jinping is throwing his full might behind his own vaccine developers. But still, the vaccine needs to be produced affordably in billions of doses. It needs to be distributed world over, and it will require an unprecedented global effort. We have to wait patiently. But there is little doubt the world is going to be very different in the next 18 months. Now, Rotary is a microcosm of the real world. Rotary cannot be different to the real world. All the clubs now are meeting on a lockdown state. The concept of getting together in fellowship is gone. We have become very, very good with Zoom. Governor, you have managed to get the world's most prominent Rotary figures into your event today, which either would have been impossible if it was you were doing it live, or it would have cost you a whole lot of money for you to do this. But now you're getting it free of charge. So there are some benefits. And I think that when we get over this, we will take the benefits of both the lockdown world as well as the real world, and we will be able to use both together. And Rotary will actually be better. So what about membership next year? What about foundation? I'm very interested in the foundation. Normally, in a situation like this, membership must suffer, contributions must suffer. My view is membership, if you're not meeting people, fellowship, you're not meeting them in offices, you're not meeting them in business, not meeting them in clubs, you can't invite people into Rotary. But you can focus on retention. Each year we lose 10% only on retention, people who are in Rotary leaving. If you focus on retention and retain 10%, you have already gained 10%, because every year normally we lose 10%. Contributions, well, it need not suffer. Let me tell you, in 1919, after the Spanish flu, after the World War I, membership actually increased by 19%. In 1921, after the Great Recession, membership actually increased by 26%. After the Asian flu in 1957, membership increased by 3%. In 2009, after the swine flu, membership did not increase, but annual giving to the foundation went up 20%. So you see, Rotarians behave differently. Rotarians have great strength of character, are resilient, are courageous, are brave, have got imagination. So they don't behave like normal human beings, they're different. And when these things happen, Rotarians have an immediate response, they have a follow-up response, and they have a major response. I saw and I heard all this happening in Europe, in your country, in Italy, in Spain, in Germany, all the countries which are badly hit. The Italians now have a major project which they're trying to set up 2 or more full body thermal scanners, depending on the individual hospital needs, based on number of hospital entrances, etc. 2 COVID-19 triage units, which includes an isolation cabin, computer tablet, and related telemedicine software and monitors. 2 isolation stretchers to allow transport of patients without physical contact with any healthcare professionals. On average, the cost of this package per hospital is $100,000, bringing the total proposal to $2.6 million with 4 hospitals in every district. That's fantastic. What did Foundation do? As soon as COVID hit us, as soon as the lockdowns began, we gave $1 million out immediately from our disaster relief fund. Then we transferred another $2 million, and we gave that also out to districts on the basis of $25,000 per district, 1 grant per district. And in the space of 2-3 months, the disaster grants, within the first month, we gave out 93 grants at a total cost of $4.8 million. And then we gave out 177 global grants at a cost of approximately $15 million. In fact, we exhausted all our money because we wanted to quickly give districts money to go out and do their work in the community. We reacted quickly, we reacted fast. And our staff is now working from their homes. Our building is empty. In fact, they're doing a better job from homes than they did in the offices. So as incoming chair of our foundation, I have a very big responsibility of steering our foundation at the most challenging of times. Sometimes I even worry that I am the best person to serve in a situation like this. I'm working with the team to see how quickly we can adjust to what I call the new normal, how we can make our foundation more relevant to the immediate needs. and requirements, how we can be better attuned to today's dramatically changed environment. How do we help clubs to do projects more relevant to the times, and what we do to do it in a strikingly impactful manner? How do we find external partners who will fund COVID projects for Rotarians? How do we reach out to clubs in Europe, the US, simply to hold their hand at a time of loss? Clubs who have lost many members to the virus, some clubs which have been destroyed. How can we play a significant role in the distribution of COVID-19 vaccines? After all, we are better equipped than anyone else on earth to do distribution because of our polio efforts. How do we raise enough money for polio and to be able to take advantage of the Gates match? In fact, there is a crisis of sorts right now because last night President Trump formally announced the withdrawal of the US from WHO. And in the US is the single largest contributor to WHO at $400 million each year. And public health experts are worried with the suspension of funds, whether it would damage the organization. I must tell you, though, that although our polio immunization activities have been put on pause, not finished just for the moment, we have held it up, the polio infrastructure Rotary helped build is being used to prevent the spread of COVID-19 by supporting preparedness and response activities in many countries, just as we did in the past to respond to outbreaks of Ebola, yellow fever, and avian flu. In many places like Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, polio staff are the ones tracing contacts and testing for COVID-19. But you need to understand, it is still not business as usual for us. Business is going to be different. It's the same business that we always do, reaching out to people in distress. But our methodology by which we do needs to change. Our process of preparing and delivering the project needs to change. The way we communicated what we do needs to change. Public health emergencies like the coronavirus bring out the worst in people, and it can also provide inspiring examples of people choosing to be kind. We want to belong to this second type of people. I want you to remember that every crisis has its heroes. Every disaster has its displays of selflessness and sacrifice. Every catastrophe brings forth its share of people who demonstrate compassion, courage, consideration, and love. Firefighters race into burning buildings. Police officers place themselves in the line of fire. Soldiers march into war. And now, amidst this pandemic, healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, support staff, ambulance drivers, hospital technicians who risk becoming infected themselves, who risk infecting their own families, are making extraordinary sacrifices to care for the rest of us. I hope that Rotary clubs and others will lavishly bestow on them, give them the recognition and rewards that they so richly deserve. Situations like this also reveals the most unlikely hero even in Rotary. That's because there lies in each Rotarian a passion that only needs to be awakened. There are the type of Rotarians who have the vision to see what others cannot, the problems, the potential, the promise, and the purpose. All of your ideas may not work, but your passion will have a tremendous impact. I want to give you an example. Back home in my country, two of my closest Rotary friends, Abbas and Ajay, were over a drink talking of the situation in my country of children with mental issues. 20% of Sri Lankan children are affected by disabilities. 1 in 93 has been diagnosed as autistic. Like in other developing countries, cerebral palsy affects 2 to 5% of children. In a situation like this, we could only shrug our shoulders, criticize the government for not doing anything about it. But our passion got the better of us. We could visualize a properly equipped center to treat children with such disabilities. So the right people were spoken to, and they became partners to the project. The university made available the land. The Sri Lanka Army built the premises in 13 months, and 2 major cash infusions came from my 2 friends, Abbas and Ajay, $1 million each from their companies. Abbas and Ajay are not the best Rotarians. They don't come for meetings. But in a project like this, they wrote a check and gave it, and sometimes you need Rotarians like that also. Rotary made available equipment with Rotary Foundation grants for $350,000. But building and equipment is easy. Sustainability is the key in the long term. A deal was negotiated with our Faculty of Medicine that they would absorb all the operational and maintenance costs. They would provide trained professionals in the field of disability studies, and they would take care of initial screening interventions. In turn, we gave them a 42,000 square feet center of world class to operate from. The center already has 5,000 outdoor patients from across the country, and all of them provided service free of charge. This is a remarkable project. This is the type of project that our new programs of scale launching next year will deal with. So I ask you to be hopeful, and I tell you that here is an opportunity for many of our members to become our heroes. We will, of course, be measured by our ability to handle the current problems, the current uncertainty. I know it's easy to say. I know it's going to be a challenge and many of us worry. But as someone said, what use is our worry right now? Worry is like a rocking chair. You can go up and down, but it never takes you anywhere. You see, a Persian king once called his wise men and asked for a coat that would make him happy when he's sad and sad when he's happy. So they thought for a minute and they told him the quote. He was so impressed that he had it inscribed in his ring. The quote was very simple. This too shall pass. So my friends, this too shall pass. The world at this time is in an induced coma, but it's not going to be permanently hobbled. As history has shown, it will bounce back. About a month ago, in only her 5th address to the nation in a long 69-year reign as monarch, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II of UK closed her remarks with a very well-known song called We'll Meet Again. it says we must take comfort that while we may have more still to endure, better days will return. We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. And we will meet again in person. Thank you so much for inviting me.
President Ravi, obrigado pelas suas palavras tão inspiradoras. E, como dizia também uma canção inglesa, You Never Walk Alone. Podemos dizer também que aqui os rotários nunca estão sozinhos e que essa é também uma das nossas forças, o facto de sermos 1,2 milhões de pessoas com um propósito e um valor, ou valores neste caso, a favor de uma causa. Temos 3 minutos, eu ia só colocar-lhe uma simples questão em que o Ravi falava da sustentabilidade, que tudo isto passará, e eu não deixei de pensar e de refletir sobre as suas palavras no vídeo que há pouco apresentávamos, onde o Ravi falava também dos valores que trazemos desde criança. Esses valores que permanecem connosco, essa sustentabilidade interior, essa liderança também interior, pode ajudar-nos a combater a incerteza no exterior? Do you have interpretation?
No, I didn't hear anything you said.
Sorry, I'm going to put it in English. Sorry. What you said about very inspiring words about the sustainability, about this shall pass. And I was making this connection with your video we presented at the beginning when you talk about our inner self, our values from the childhood, from family, our purpose. And my simple question, we have 2 minutes, but my simple question is, how can this help us, this inner leadership, these inner values, to win this war against change out there? If a lot of things are happening out there, but you talk in the video about what is inside of us, and this is my question, how can it help these inner values, the inner self in these troubling, changing times?
Governor, if you did not have the inner strength, we would already be dead. We have refused to be put down by this virus. We are strong in our resolve that we will actually come out stronger. Our core values don't change. Our areas of focus don't change. We just approach business in a different way. We approach our communication in a different way. But none of our values, none of our purpose has changed. We understand that physically we may not be able to do things which we did before. But as you can see, like what you have organized, you have already compensated for it in so many different ways. We might change our purpose in terms of the project that we are doing. I told you an example of a project which we did for children with disabilities. Now my purpose may be different because of COVID and the problems it has created and the economy that it has created. In my country, when the government invited people to sit and talk about how we can help, they invited the World Bank, they invited UNICEF, they invited WHO, and they invited Rotary. They did not call any other service organization. They did not even call the business chambers. They just called Rotary. because we have such a good track record. We have the ability to, we raised $1 million in 10 days to do our own project for the government. And the project we are doing now is which every Rotary Club is involved. Rotarians are being trained how to go to their shops, to their supermarkets, to their businesses, to their industries, and teach people how to behave themselves with distancing themselves and the steps they must take to be safe from this virus. And we are actually certifying institutions by working with the Bureau of Standards. So we have work to do, and we are the only people who can do it. So the government is so amazed with us. So I can tell you, we will survive, we will become stronger, and we will actually come out of this much stronger than we ever were.
Thank you so much, President Ravindran. And our history really tells us that we can change the way, we can change how we do it, but we keep our core values, as you said, and this is very important to hear this message. I want to thank you for being with us. I want to thank you for your message, and I want to wish you a wonderful year, a wonderful beginning as chair of the Rotary Foundation, because we really need our Rotary Foundation in the world, and we really need a leader like you, inspiring us, showing us the way, being a true Rotarian as our 1.2 million fellows. So thank you so much, and I hope one of these days, sometimes if you pass by Portugal, we'll be very pleased to receive you personally. You know that our president, our Republic president, is also Rotarian, and we will be very pleased to have you here one of these days. Thank you so much, President Ravindran.
If you invite me, I'll definitely come. And I hope what I spoke in English, the rest of your audience understood or translated, is it?
We have also a translation system for us,
Okay.
and we sure understand your words. Not only
Okay,
understand them, we will keep them in our hearts.
Thank you. Good evening. Have a great year. I'll be watching your progress.
Thank you. Thank you to be with us, dear President. Bye.